This is backstage, right?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 9th grade Student Success Night. We are just going to wait a couple minutes, let everybody get comfortable and situated at home, and then we'll get started.
Ms. Garcia, are you able to see the number of people joining us on your screen? Because I can't tell if anyone's getting in okay.
Yeah, I can't see on my end, so I'm
Okay.
just going to give it another minute, and then we can kind of go from there. There's Ms. Chandler. She's our tech guru for the night.
You have like 30 watching right now, so I would say go ahead and start in just a few minutes. Or in like 30 seconds. You're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started for the evening. Thank you, freshman families of La Cueva High School, for joining us in our virtual event this evening. My name is Justine Garcia. I am one of the school counselors at La Cueva. We also have Miss Megan Goodman. She is another counselor here at La Cueva. Mrs. Chandler, who you just saw pop in a little bit, she's our college and career counselor. She's going to help us with the tech side of it tonight. And we have Mr. B, our 9th grade administrator, with us as well. So we would like to thank you for first taking the time in your crazy schedule to join us this evening in this virtual presentation. So about a week ago, we went into your freshman students' New Mexico history and health classes and had a discussion about what's working well in the first 6 weeks of the school year now that they're in high school, getting used to the routines and block schedule, things of that nature, and kind of went over some pros, some cons, some things of improvement kind of moving forward. So this evening is about that presentation of what we worked with your students and kind of gauging it towards you as high school parents now that we can be making it as successful as possible through this high school career. So to begin this evening, Mr. B is going to talk to you from the administrator side, and then we'll continue from there. So take the floor, Mr. B.
Good evening. It's hard to say evening when it's so bright outside, just welcoming us all to go outside. We just want to thank you for being here. My name is Gregory Butz. Your students refer to me as Mr. B, and I'm your 9th grade assistant principal, and I oversee areas of attendance, security, and the big one, 9th grade discipline. So I'm going to walk us through some of the areas where I'm going to be intersecting with your family this year. Let's start off with attendance. Our attendance policies are located, can be found in our school's handbook. And so some of the things to keep in mind that students can be excused for a few things. They can be excused for a cultural observance. That might be a religious holiday that may not be covered under the typical calendar. Students can be excused for sicknesses and illnesses. And after a few days, then we will politely ask for a medical form just to verify and also just to check in, make sure everything's okay. Students can also be excused for a family emergency. And there's a few others. One more big one that comes to mind, an appointment. And so that would be a doctor's appointment. So one of the ways that you can either pre-schedule or the morning of is to log into Parent View and just submit your excuse there, and then we will handle it. For most of the year, this has been handled by Miss Bash. She is the secretary of the counseling department, someone that all the other people that you see on the screen are working very closely with. Once my attendance secretary slash clerk gets onboarded into APS, you'll be she'll be the one that will be handling those things. So for quite a bit of the year, we have been without a secretary of attendance, and so you can imagine it's just been there are things that we're trying to get to in as quickly as possible. And so if you have called the school to ask, to check out your son or your daughter, and you notice that, hey, I seem to be talking to a different person each time, it's because of that very thing. So those are the things that are ways that you can excuse your child. Now, the second big thing is that one of probably the biggest thing is going to be the discipline in areas that intersect with attendance and discipline. So I'm just going to walk through the attendance policies. After about five absences or five tardies, you're going to get a note home, and you probably have begun to see this. Your teacher is going to say, "Hey, we've noticed that so and so has not been attending, or they've accumulated five absences." And so that is our way of making sure that you are aware of our policies. And after the sixth absence, certainly for tardy, they will get referred to me. And so I receive all the referrals for both absences and tardies. And that's when I will be following up on it. Because we take our academics so seriously here at La Cueva, after 6 tardies, the student will be assigned 2 hours of after-school detention where they can do their study hall and get caught up on their work. It is a way to add time back into the day for the student so they can get caught up on everything that they need to do. And so that is something that you're going to want to really understand as we move forward in this year. And as we've noticed that students have been away from school for such a long time, they have forgotten how to get from one class to the next class. And so it's our way of politely reminding students, you got to get into your classes on time because their learning really matters. And so it brings me to the final area of topic for tonight, discipline. Your students received an agenda or a handbook that really detailed all of the things that were expected of them throughout this year. If you could think of it, we have a category for it. And so each thing that each of our expectations are clearly defined in our matrix. And so with me, as some of your lovely students have already seen me in action, they know that when they go to my office, there is no surprises. We just politely open up the handbook and we go, "You are here." So this is your first time, or we go, "This is the second time that you've been in here for this thing." And so we just move in a very progressive fashion through the discipline matrix. It is really imperative to understand all the expectations that are set out for the La Cueva student. These expectations are common through 9th grade all the way up into 12th grade. And so there is no surprises. If things happen, we will be very consistent in our application of it. And so really take some time over this long weekend to understand what those expectations are. Some common things that I'm noticing most frequently. I've been noticing quite a bit of tardies, students being late to class. I've noticed some absences. There have been some high amount of skips that had been occurring, and we've kind of got a handle on that, and those are on their way down. But there are some other things that are very important to look at, including issues, students bringing things to campus that they shouldn't. So we just really want to make sure that you are aware of all of those expectations. And so that covers the attendance, that covers discipline, and that also covers security. It's our job to make sure that your students remain safe here on our campus. And so we will do our absolute best to ensure that. And the way that we do that is through handling and following our discipline matrix. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. B. So just a kind of general information. So parent view, if it's not already your best friend, it will. We guarantee that by the time you finish with your senior student in their graduating year. So parent view, visiting our La Cueva website, we'll reference this quite a bit this evening, and so will teachers and staff within the La Cueva community. That's our #1 hub in terms of general communication and updated almost weekly tweets from Mrs. Lee, our principal, happenings around campus, tutoring, all kinds of great information, and direct teacher contact as well. So deep breath. We made it through the first 6 weeks of high school. I know it's had its up and down roller coaster moments, but we are on this journey together. So when we spoke with your 9th graders last Monday in their classes, we asked them, what matters now that the graduating class of 2025, we're going to blink and it's going to be here, right? So what they do now in high school absolutely matters and invested now here in high school, as well as their life outside of high school once they graduate, the what next. So we're going to kind of break that down a little bit. So what we did in the classes is we kind of try to put the connection between outside world bubble and high school world bubble. So we started with this data chart, and we had our students kind of analyze this. This is the 2020 earnings and unemployment rates by educational attainment. And we kind of prefaced it with 2020 was a crazy year with unemployment and life in general. So these data points are a little bit interesting, but just to kind of take perspective, we talk with your students about noticing on the blue column, looking at the level of education a person had compared to the unemployment rate. So the higher your educational structure was, the less likely you are to be unemployed, and then their mean average salary for a week. So we had a little bit of an open discussion there to kind of put that connection moving forward. So then we went into graduation requirements. So in the state of New Mexico, there are very specific guidelines to receive your high school diploma. Each year, the class structures are built off of the following that you see on your screen right now. So the graduation requirements equal 25 credits. We call that the golden ticket. So each year of high school, your student will will be enrolled in an English class. So they will take an English class all 4 years. Same thing with math. Typically, it goes Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then a higher level math class. Some of your students may be in an accelerated math program, and that's fine as well, just as long as they continue that progression moving forward. And then science, they need 3 credits or 3 full years of lab courses. So it's very standard, black and white. So freshmen will take biology, sophomores will take chemistry, and then junior year, students will take physics. Any sciences outside of that count towards elective credit, and we definitely encourage our students to continue that. That's what they want to do. Then freshmen take a semester of New Mexico history and then a semester of health. There's a full year of PE graduation requirement. Then their sophomore year, they will take world history. Junior year, U.S. history, and then again, their senior year, we split up that social studies credit of 1 semester of government, 1 semester of economics. And then collectively, they need 8 credits of electives, and then 1 possible career or foreign language credit to get to that golden ticket magic number of 25. So for each class a student takes, they earn half a credit at the end of each semester. So a full year-long class will earn them 1 full credit with a passing grade of a 60 or higher, so a D or higher. So in addition to those 25 credits, we explain to your students that their graduating class must also have 1 unit or 1 credit of an advanced placement course, an honors course, a dual credit course, or an online. Sometimes we have students that come in kind of in a panic to the counseling office, say, I only have 1 of those. I took English 9 honors my freshman year. I need to take everything else. So we kind of backtrack and say, nope, that's okay. You don't need to do all of them. We need to do at least 1 of those to meet that graduation requirement. So earning credits. We would talk with your students a little bit about what it means to earn credits. And that now that they're in high school, if they fail a semester of a class, they have to take it up, or they have to make it up, whether it's in summer school, our online Ingenuity program run through E-Academy for credit recovery, and that everything is aligned through credits. We talked about that their grade level is determined on credits and not years in school. So by the time they complete their freshman year, they should have attained 7 credits because they are in 7 classes. But to be considered a sophomore, they need a minimum of 6 credits. To be considered an 11th grader or a junior, they need 13 credits. And then a senior, 19 credits. And again, graduation at that 25 credit mark. So We also told our freshmen that some of last year's freshmen did not earn enough credits to be considered a sophomore this year. And that meant that they got a freshman ID card once again when they came to the activities office during pre-registration. And it shows up in the system that they have the little orange R, meaning reclassified. And once they are able to attain and make those credits up in credit recovery, then they're back on track. But at this point in high school, to make that connection, that to receive the credit, you need that passing grade. So we also talked a little bit about transcripts. This is something else that you will become experts in if you haven't already with your older children that have come through La Cueva. So transcripts, once they are in high school, they include their final grade for each semester. So in middle school, the grading system is a little bit different. They went for each 6 weeks or grading period from there. So each semester at high school, it's cumulative. So the grades build all the way through the end of the semester, okay? So there is still time at this point in the last 12 weeks of this semester to get their grades up to where they want them to be if they're not really where they're at right now, if they have some flexibility to improve that. So we talked about that at the end of this semester, they will officially get their first high school transcript. What does that mean? What's the point of a transcript? So we talked a little bit about colleges, scholarships, employers, and most important thing on their minds right now, car insurance companies will ask for their transcripts and will not only look at their coursework, but they'll also look at their GPA, which stands for their grade point average. So we told your students how to calculate their GPA. So what they do is they add up all of their grade points and divide by the number of classes. So an A equals 4 points, a B 3 points, and then kind of consecutively down all the way to the bottom. Unfortunately, F's, we don't get any points for that. Students brought up great questions in regards to calculating their GPA. They asked if an A plus or an A minus added any different points to their GPA, and we said, no, unfortunately, that's not the case. So an A is an A, a B is a B, regardless of that. But if they are taking an AP or an honors class, they get an extra 0.025 calculated to their GPA for each semester of an honors or AP class. You didn't think you're going to be doing math tonight, right? So this is a great activity that you can do with your students as well, just kind of pulling up their grade book, seeing where they're at, if there's some room for improvement, things of that nature. So we had them practice their GPA now that they are in high school. So we gave this example of a typical ninth grade schedule. So this particular student in English got a B. In algebra, they have a C, New Mexico history an A, and they calculated the points. So all of those points all together for all 7 classes equal 23. They divided by 7, and this student's GPA was a 3.285. So then we asked your students, what grades do you think they need to raise to get their GPA up? And they all said A's, right? We need to focus on possibly that C in Algebra 1. And then we asked them, what would the GPA be if one of those classes was an honors class? So again, that cumulative GPA was a 3.285. You added that 0.025, and it would bump it up to a 3.31. And then we asked, what happens if that student failed PE and we get any points? That GPA would significantly drop to a 2.71. So this opened up a lot of conversation in regards to just the kind of brevity and importance of grades and the different grading systems moving forward in high school. So then we talked to your students a little bit about sample college admissions requirements in relations to GPAs and transcripts, things like that. So we use UNM Go Lobos. It's our local university here in Albuquerque. So they look at an unweighted GPA of 2.5. So what they are looking at specifically is their English of 4 credits, their math of 4 units, Algebra 1 or higher, social studies, science, and foreign language. So many universities will require a minimum of 2 years of a foreign language, which is consecutive. So Spanish 1 and 2, French 1 and 2, and progress from there, but they want a minimum of 2. So that is what their unweighted GPA will look like towards their core classes. They don't look at electives and looking at their cumulative GPA for admissions requirements. Arizona schools, our neighboring state, uses again the core GPA of those main core subjects, but it's also based only on those classes that are listed above, as I said, but no electives. California schools are a little bit similar, but they also require a performing arts or fine arts class intertwined in that. So that's either like an art class, a music class, anything of that nature. So, and again, we don't expect freshmen to know what college they want to attend. We just want them to keep their options open and kind of experiencing the classes that they may possibly pursue after high school while they're in high school, getting their hands and brains moving in the right motion for that. So then we talked a little bit about college entrance exams, putting the connection of, why am I doing this homework? Why am I turning in this paper? Why am I sitting here doing all this homework? So we talked with them. Challenging yourself academically can help you get a higher ACT or SAT score, which are used for admissions and scholarships at school across the nation, AKA free money to pay for school, right? So our teachers have very high expectations in challenging our students because they know the more that they learn in high school, will help them in their future dreams become more of a reality. So we want you to look at the kind of chart down here on the bottom, the average ACT score. So at La Cueva, the average ACT score is a 25. The New Mexico average is a 19, and then the national average is a 21. So we had a really great open discussion with students about, what does that mean? So basically, in a nutshell, the education that they're receiving in each of their classes day in and day out is high-notch, top quality. What they're applying in their classes will definitely benefit them if they're taking their exams later on. So then we talked a little bit about success strategies. So we told them that some of your grades may not be where you wanted them after those first 6 grades were posted. So knowing that, what can we do differently to help be more successful? And we kind of broke it down a little bit more. Miss Goodman, I'm going to pass it off to you if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So we are going to talk about some of the success strategies that we shared with our students. I'm going to have Miss Garcia kind of be the driver of the presentation for me, if you don't mind clicking to that next slide. So we did send out a survey to all of our 9th grade teachers, just asking what they are seeing of our 9th graders this year and what supports that we can put in place for them. Attendance was a big one, and just engagement in the class. What we're noticing is that, for 13 months they were home, and school of course looked very different. And so actually going back to some of those really basic skills of just like, how is it to be in class? How do I show that I'm actively listening? How do I show that I'm engaged and that I'm interested or focused on what my teacher is lecturing or discussing today? Some of the study skills that we are seeing is like note taking, just how to chunk sections in their textbook to, if they're going to be reading through a chapter or whatnot, to make sure that they're kind of chunking that, not trying to cram the night before. And then that leads us into time management. The block schedule for our freshmen, just generally, even without being home for the last 13 months, is kind of a challenge for them to get used to and figure out how to plan for their week. Communicating with teachers is a big one, and then just engagement in school etiquette, again, after they've been at home behind their Chromebooks for so long. You can go to the next one. Okay, so attendance. We talked about what happens when you miss a class. So we had a discussion with them about that, but really it's, okay, I need to communicate with my teacher, I need to make up the work. This is on top of the work that's already assigned. It gets even a little bit more challenging if they've had like a long-term project they've been working on and they missed that day that the project was due. Again, this is all outlined in our teacher policies for their on their syllabus that they each have, and then of course through our handbook as well. But we just give them some gentle reminders about that, that yes, you are responsible for making up the work, and it can become an overwhelming thing for you if you're getting further and further behind, which of course equals a lot of stress and unneeded stress for them. They might miss a review of an upcoming test. So those sorts of things that we just talk about with them. I think I covered everything. Yeah, and then they might have to meet with their teacher on their own free time. So what does that look like? Is it after school? Are you setting a time specifically maybe to go chat with them during lunch? For us as counselors, one of the #1 biggest indicators of a student at risk for dropping out is the high number of absences. So those are some data points that we will pull as counselors to kind of review and see if there are concerns or any types of barriers that we can help with. So we talk about that with our students and just let them know that like your high number of absences is putting you more at risk, of course, for getting behind and creating what we call that snowball effect. The better your attendance, the higher chance, of course, that you will have to graduate and graduate with a strong GPA. So making sure that you're at school leads you to be successful. And then making sure that you're on time also. So being late to class not only causes a disruption, but also you may miss things that they're doing in the beginning of the class, such as what we call bell ringers, or any important instructions, or hey, this is what's going to be due next week, and a conversation about that. Or there might be an upcoming quiz, and so they're missing that information as well by being late to class. So what to do if you're absent? We are really trying to encourage our students at La Cueva to self-advocate and to not be afraid to reach out to their teachers. So if they're absent, we tell them it's going to be your responsibility to email your teacher or meet with them after class during a time that you can just check in and see what you missed. A lot of our teachers have Remind, so it's an app on your phone that they can text back and forth with their teacher. And teachers will send out like reminders for quizzes or upcoming assignments. And then making sure that they are clarifying the due dates for all the assignments. Sometimes things can change when they're absent, and so making sure that they're on top of that. And then asking their teacher if they don't understand a concept that was covered and figuring out when they can meet with their teacher. Many of our teachers offer after-school tutoring, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but just finding those times that they can connect with their teacher to catch up. And then study skills. So whether you're a freshman or senior, study skills are going to be extremely helpful in being successful, not only in high school, but in your chosen career, college, and in life in general. So taking good notes. We are really encouraging them to find what works best for them and what style works best for them. Some of our students like to highlight things. Some of them just like to doodle in their notebook, but that they're taking notes and actively engaged in that and making sure that they have their notes in one place that they can locate later after they get home from school. We're telling them that they need to study regularly. So just like any sports or instruments or anything that you have as a hobby or a talent, you don't just get good at that overnight. And so practice makes perfect, and really just getting into those good habits of making that a regular thing for themselves. Also giving enough time to study. I know some of us work better under pressure and procrastination, but we're really trying to make sure that they're not staying up until 2 a.m. the night before a big test, just trying to cram and study. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then creating a study group, but only if you're actually going to study. I have a 6th grader at Desert Ridge, and so he'll create study groups online, but then sometimes that turns into video gaming. So we have to watch that, and we remind our students that make sure that if you're going to create a study group, that you are going to actually study in that group. Is it cooperating? I know it lags a little bit. Hello, PowerPoint. Okay, is this a new? Oh no, that's still the same slide, isn't it? Okay. A little bit of technical difficulties here. Just 1 second as we get our PowerPoint to catch up. So as we're waiting for that, I'll kind of go into some of the next slides. We do have a slide that we show them a built out week of a calendar. And so this person, we use an example of a student that has like a biology exam, like a math exam, a really big project due one day, and then I think like a vocab quiz. And so we give them an example on that calendar of where this person is, from 4 o'clock until 9 o'clock doing all these different things. They took Monday off. They saved their project for all one evening on a Wednesday to turn that in the next day. And then they only took one night to study for their exam. So we have them look at that and kind of review what they can pick out from it and see if they notice any errors. Of course, some of them are like, that works great. That's a great setup. But then when we really start looking at it, this student didn't have time to have dinner, didn't have time to really focus. They're cramming for their tests, and their project's probably not going to be the most quality since they did it the night before and really tried to make that happen within 4 hours. So then we switch to another slide where it shows the breakdown of little bits and pieces every day. They're studying every day leading up until that test. They're giving themselves time to eat dinner, which is also super important, of course, and that they are not staying up until 9 or 2 a.m. trying to work on these particular assignments for that. How are we looking, Ms. Garcia? Ms. Garcia, can you hear me? Because I can't see your PowerPoint changing. Give me 1 second, everybody, because I'm not for sure if we can all hear each other here in this link.
I think I know what happened is that it was the video kind of froze it up. So I'm going to try to take over it. So just keep talking and I'll get it on there.
Okay. I'm trying to jog my memory here of what other slides that we had.
You're good.
All right. So some other things that we talked about, we have a group of senior student aides down in our counseling office. And so we actually polled them and asked them what they, oh yes, here's the calendar that I was discussing. So you can kind of see an example of that as I'm talking through here. But we also asked our student aides, so our seniors, if you could go back to your freshman year as, what would you tell yourself? So knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself or what suggestions would you have? Okay, I'll get to that. So, and so we'll cover some of those suggestions with you. I'm going to get back to our PowerPoint here now that we have it in order. And then I'll tell you what the seniors said, because it's kind of interesting and really helpful for our freshmen just to make full circle of like, oh, okay, this is what we can do to make this a successful next 4 years. So we did a technology check-in with them since they all have their Chromebooks, and now we're using all of these different apps. Our teachers are using many different programs. If they're having ever any trouble, to not be afraid to ask for help and just check in with that teacher. Some of them are using Delta Math, Duolingo, those sorts of things. If they do have trouble with their Chromebook or they have trouble logging into their Google Classroom or their Google accounts, then they can access any of these links. We have them on our website as well to reset their passwords or find any Chromebook error troubleshooting guides, those sorts of things. So you can go on to the next one, Ms. Chandler. Okay, so here we are. What did other La Cueva students say? So top 10 things that they wish that they knew as freshman students. So not being afraid to talk to your teachers, asking those questions. Some of our students say I can actually like really go up to them after class and like ask them this question. Is that not being disruptive? And if they're fearful of even, that sometimes it can be hard for them to start to learn those habits, we encourage them to just send them an email or send them a message through Remind. Having friends outside of their grade level group. So that can be extremely important for them and extremely helpful just because they can chat about classes that maybe that student has had. We really encourage them to get involved and join a club or activity. And this is a great way for them to get to meet students outside of their grade level just for that very reason. Study habits, they'll be useful when you take more difficult classes as time goes on. Not being afraid to ask questions. This one is a huge one. Check your grades in Student View. So they also have the same app. Parents have the parent view, students have the student view. And so it comes as a surprise sometimes for some of us when we sit down with students and say, so have you checked your grades or do you know what assignments you're missing? And they are like kind of clueless about that. And so we say, let's get out your phone or let's get out your computer and let's both sit down and look at your Student View account together. So that way you know exactly where you stand, and then you can actually email your teachers directly through your Student View to ask questions about certain assignments. And it might not seem like it, but the hard work that you put in, school is really going to pay off for whatever you choose to do after high school. And we talked about to not procrastinate with them, and that leads into like the study skills and preparing for projects and all of that good stuff. Asking for help. So some of these are kind of redundant. Again, the big one is don't be afraid to reach out and ask if you need something or need help with something. High school does fly by. To them, 4 years seems like an eternity, but then all of a sudden it's their senior year and they kind of feel like everything's gone by in a blink of an eye. So get involved, do something fun while you're in high school. Your grades really do matter, especially in your freshman year, because that will be on your transcript. So we tell them, pay attention, show up to class, make sure that you catch up if you get behind. So we have some really great resources for help, and we'll cover a couple of those for you. We were able to implement free after-school tutoring this year. Math has been a big one for us, where we're seeing a lot of our freshman students struggle. So we have a variety of different teachers that they can meet with Monday through Friday to get help after school from 2:30 to 3 with any math assignment that they need. They don't have to have that teacher in order to attend that math tutoring, so they can just show up at any one of those places at any one of those times. Same goes for our science and English, and then we do also offer Spanish tutoring this year as well. We have this posted on our La Cueva website, so if you need to reference it or your student wants to reference it, it's all right there. And again, it's free, so it's a pretty awesome opportunity for them. Remind, like I was mentioning, so that's a great app for them. So if their teacher uses Remind, make sure that they've got the Remind code and that they have access to that. Either you can do it on your computer, you can do it on your phone app, but it's a really great communication tool. We also use it in the counseling office. Ms. Chandler is fantastic at communicating out things to all grade levels. And so I think we have a code for our freshmen that we'll share here in just a bit to add them to our Remind account. Comes in extremely important when we're doing like testing or in their senior year when there's all these different deadlines coming in, graduation and college applications and everything. Khan Academy, so this is a free resource as well. All the way from pre-K up to high school level, you can click whatever math class or English class. This actually ties in when they take their PSAT. It will do kind of an analysis of where they were strong and where they had maybe some gaps in their learning. And once they take the PSAT, it will tailor specific questions for them of areas that they need to work on a little bit more to just improve their overall knowledge and their scores and all of that. So yeah, it's a really great tool, Khan Academy, totally free if you're not familiar with that. No Red Ink. This is one that some of our English teachers use. It's kind of hit or miss, but it really will help them with just grammar and writing. So if they're writing an essay for a class, they can sign up for this free website, and then it'll go through and just help them like kind of proofread their essays. And then of course you have counselors that are here to help with any resources or strategies or kind of just discuss class placement with your teachers and with your student. We go by alphabet, so we will be with your student for the next, well, almost 3.5 years now, so the next 4 years. So Ms. Ha, she covers the first part of the alphabet, A through C. So if your student's last name starts with A through C, she's your counselor. Ms. Bernice Ulabari, she is D through HI. Ms. Soskin, she's new to us this year. She's been a counselor, I think at 4 different high schools throughout her career, and so she's joining us this year. She's covering the alphabet of HO through ME. And then we have Ms. Garcia, who's in this meeting with me. She covers MI through SA. And then I take up the tail end of the alphabet. I'm SB through Z. And we have Ms. Chandler, who's helping us with technology because she is amazing at that. So she's in here as well, but she is our college and career readiness counselor. So anything that ties into college and career, she'll help with FAFSA questions. She's an amazing wealth of knowledge in that arena, and then also clearly technology. But she serves all of 1,800 students that we have on the La Cueva campus. And then we also have Miss Christine Lloydel. She is our Crossroads counselor. She helps our students with education and prevention surrounding substance use and abuse questions that they might have. She does a lot of classroom presentations just on health and safety around that. And then, sorry, my son's getting home from karate, so if you hear squealing, that's what's going on. Okay, and then we have Miss Bash, who we mentioned earlier. She is our counseling secretary. She sits in the front of the counseling office and helps with a ton of different things. So she has been helping with attendance. She's helped students get locks cut off of their lockers because their lock was stuck. She's helped students do the whole prom date, promposal thing that's so popular right now at school. So she's really amazing and has answers to all sorts of general questions. She can also help with workers permit. So if your student's starting to think ahead and wanting to work, she can do a workers permit for them. So not being afraid to ask for help and all of the communication pieces that we offer to our students. So we do have that Remind account that I was mentioning. It's going to be used all the way up until your student graduates. So this follows them all through now until their senior year. We send out information about events, important dates. Ms. Metzger, our activities director, and Ms. Chandler, our college and career counselor, manage that. And so they send out activity information, college and career information, graduation information, testing information. And then to receive messages, you will just send a text message to the phone number 81010, and then you will send the message to the following codes. We're limited in how many we can have in each group, so we just broke it down by alphabet. So make sure that you look on the last, what your student's last name is there, and then take note of that code that they should be joining as far as your mind. Parents can join this as well. So a lot of parents like to make sure that they're staying in the loop and getting the same messages that their student is getting. So. All right, and then our class of 2025 website. So we have that on our La Cueva counseling website, and then you can click class of 2025, or you can just go to lacueva.aps.edu and then /class of 2025. Any information pertinent to being a freshman in their freshman year and looking forward, we will post that there, including, I believe, a link to this live stream of this presentation.
So yes, I'm gonna, sorry. Okay, that's better. I'm going to post a link to all of these slides here in just a few minutes. So if anybody wants to review or to get the links to things that we've mentioned, you can definitely do that. But the place that you're going to find it is on the La Cueva website, and you just simply do /2020 class of 2025. Or if you go to La Cueva and then click on counseling, you can then find it's listed under the side links there. So class of 2025, but that's where we'll post everything from now on. But the recording for this presentation, I'll link there later today, but then the slides will be listed there also.
All right, and then what do we have next? Okay, and you just talked about that. Okay, so we are going to open it up to all of you for questions. I believe we're just able to take questions through the chat here. So feel free to type anything in, and then we will verbally answer it, or some of us can answer it in the chat as well. But we will stick around for any additional questions. If you think of anything else, please feel free to reach out to any of us, email. Email sometimes is the quickest way for us to respond back and forth to you. So all of our email addresses are on our La Cueva website. So thank you all for joining us. And then, like I said, let us know if you have any questions. You want to take that one, Ms. Chandler?
Yes, so the ACT and SAT, we really recommend students take it at the end of their junior year. The PSAT is something they will take in their sophomore year. It's paid for by the state. And then if they take it in their junior year, it's something they have to sign up for in the junior year. That's when they can be considered for national merit semifinalists. But right now as a freshman, we just want them to get settled into high school and kind of learn what they need, kind of transition successfully. And then we kind of start those practice tests in the sophomore year. So there is so our PTA does a practice ACT, and so they do it each fall and spring. It's not a formalized thing. They work with a company that offers a practice ACT and prep class. And so that is something that they will send out information to the sophomores, juniors, and seniors on. So that's that. Do any of you know the library hours?
I was just trying to look to see. In the past, it had been open until 3, I believe, after school. I'm not for sure if our new librarian is following the same or not. I think
I want to say yes. If anything, she'll go to at least 2:30, so the school day students can go in there and have access to computers if they need to print something or things like that. Yeah. But also in the after school tutoring, teachers can we encourage our students to go to that space just to have like a distraction-free comfort of their bedroom, right? To get their homework done in class in a classroom. And when they get home, they can actually be home and relax. So those are also great resources if the library is closed.
So there's a question about how students become part of Honor Society. So we have, I think we counted 9 different Honor Societies on our campus. All of their information for the sponsor teachers that host those Honor Societies are on our La Cueva website under clubs and activities. So you can just reach out to any of them. I know some of them started up already with their applications for Honor Society. So your student will just need to get that application from that particular sponsor teacher and go from there.
And I think that they require a La Cueva GPA. So it's not something I think that your current freshman can join, but you can definitely, if you go to the La Cueva website and click on activities at the top, it has a live Google sheet of all of the sponsors and information, so your student can reach out to them now to make sure they know when they can apply. And then there's a question about AP Chem and AP Physics. Require taking Chem and Physics before taking them. Is that correct?
So on that one, for graduation, there's biology, chemistry, and physics that are just no matter what, those are required. They have to take those. AP Physics more aligns with your math class. So if you are doing Algebra 2 or Honors Algebra 2, then you are meeting that requirement for AP Physics. AP Chemistry requires both biology and chemistry. And I believe there's also a recommended math component to AP Chemistry. So AP Chemistry is now a science elective, and then AP Physics can be taken in place of regular physics if they are concurrently taking Algebra 2 or they have already taken Algebra 2.
And then the next one about the ASVAB. The ASVAB allows 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students to take it. So we offer it each fall and spring, so in September and January. And announcements are made. Students can sign up, usually through the counseling office, but they require students to be sophomores before they can take it. And then avenues to trade schools. Anybody, I always say anybody can go to a trade school, and if you're looking for kind of preparatory classes in a trades, we have some different ones like our CAD and our woods and our DECA, those type of things. But if you're looking for more like autos or electrical or things like that, our CEC program here in Albuquerque Public Schools has some amazing career electives that students can take. And then if they don't offer it, then students can take classes at CNM, which offers a lot of trades while they're still in high school as well. So lots of different avenues to get there. But I'm hoping that answers your question. Have your student come see me and tell me what they're interested in, and we can look at classes. When we present to students in the spring, when we do pre-registration, we talk to them about all of those options as well. We talk to them about dual credit and CEC and career electives at the high school as well.
I see the question about student government as a club or activity that's not a class. So I think you might be asking about like our student senate that we have, our student council. That does require them to be in what we call our student leadership class during the school day. To my knowledge, there's not anything outside of school hours that they can participate in without having that student leadership class.
So some of the high schools in APS offer college credit with some of the classes. So none of the classes that they take at La Cueva have a dual credit component to them, but students 10th grade and higher can take classes. So 10th grade through 12th grade can take classes at CNM. 11th and 12th can take classes at UNM, but it is after the school day, except in senior year, it can be, they can abbreviate their schedule and take classes during the school day through those. Our CEC program does have dual credit associated with some of their classes, like their EMT program has 10 dual credits that the students can take. There's lots of different options like that, but none of our classes offered on campus have a dual credit component to it. And yes, they can. So CNM allows sophomores to start, and they can after freshman year, that summer between. You can definitely take classes there. And there's information about dual credit. If you, again, go to La Cueva and click on counseling, there's a link for dual credit on the side, and you can read all about it and kind of see what it's like. But the classes are free. The books are provided. It's a great opportunity. But again, it has to be after the school day or outside the school day or online, in addition to the 7 classes they take until they're a senior.
All right, so we will hang out if there's any other questions, but feel free to sign off if you are good to go and don't have anything else for us. And thank you again all so much for joining us this evening and just hearing about what we're trying to help your freshmen with. We've got some amazing freshmen this year, and so they're really trying to figure out what it is that they are doing now that they're in person and that they're freshmen and they're at a new school. And so we are there to help them every step of the way. So, but yes, thank you. And I hope you all have a great night. We'll be here for the next 10 minutes if you want any other question or have any other questions.
Maybe not 10 minutes, a couple minutes.
I know we gave them until 7, so.
Oh, well, you can stay. No, I don't want to wait, but I definitely don't want to be not too long. Perfect. Thank you all. Oh, good question. So driver's ed is offered after school in the fall and spring. It filled up very quickly this fall. So Mr. Tim, who is upstairs in G6, I think is his room. He's the teacher of it. So have your students stop by and chat with him about it. But usually like right away when we come back from school, we start publishing information about it, or back from winter break. But they have to sign up with him. So might as well stop by and just check with him on the timeline of it. So G6. Okay, we'll give it one more minute and then we're gonna end the stream, but you guys can always email any of the counselors or Mr. B and let us know what you need help with.